Okay, so today we're going to talk about the 223, and on the website we have several different versions of the 223, and so it creates a lot of questions that people ask as to, which 223 is right for my rifle, what should I be using for what game that I hunt, and so this little session here is to basically describe what each bullet weight can do, what it was designed for, and kind of go from there. So the first thing that I want to say is that on all of our rounds, especially our hunting rounds, our rifle rounds, they were developed for a specific purpose. A lot of rounds are made for training. A lot of rounds are made for hunting and somewhere in between. But ours are made for killing. And if we get away from that and we say, oh well, we're trying to dispatch of this or that, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something that we want to kill very quickly. We believe in ethical hunting. We believe that we have the most ethical hunting bullet out there because it lowers the blood pressure. It kills an animal much quicker than the average bullet. And if you use it and you do kill something with it as compared to your other hunting rounds, then you'll see it, you'll understand it, and you'll get it, so to speak, of why we do what we do. But I made a little chart, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but we'll see if we can get through it. And basically, we start out with a 39 grain. The 39 grain was developed for a specific purpose, basically for the 22-250, the 223 in the 1 in 12 twist. The 22-250 makes most of the rifle twists are 1 in 12 to 1 in 14 in that caliber. So we kind of got ourselves away from it by doing the 55, and we couldn't make anything stabilize. The rifle's twist is what stabilizes the bullet. So the length of the bullet is a direct influence on whether or not you hit the paper. So in order to make a round that worked in the 1 in 12 twist, we had to make a much shorter bullet. So we made a 39 grain bullet. Now, unbeknownst to us, when we originally made that bullet, we didn't realize, how well it would work. And so I started testing it, and we tested it on a lot of varmints, coyotes and things like that. And so it was very pelt friendly, so to speak. But then we started killing deer with it, and it worked very well on deer. And our deer here in Missouri are big. Generally they're, bucks are anywhere from 225 to 300 pounds, so they're big animals. Then we started shooting hogs, and so we started seeing some really good results with that. So the 39 grain was developed for that pelt, for the 1 in 12, but it also shoots well in the 1 in 7, 8, and 9 twists. Now, I will probably post an RPM chart so you can kind of see what kind of RPMs that we're turning at, but a 1 in 7 versus a 1 in 12, there's a huge difference in the amount of spin in that bullet. So you can end up with some bullets blowing apart, things like that, when you generally get in those really fast twists like that. But we don't see that with ours because of the jacket thickness that we use. Now the 55 grain is the next step up, and those will not work in a 1 in 12. So if you're buying that product and you have a 1 in 12 twist, do not buy that. It won't work. You will not stabilize it. That bullet, just like the 39, the core is made up of mostly powdered copper. And so it's a fairly short range round. Now short range to some is long range to others. It's a 0 to 350 yard range. After that point, you diminish velocities, and it's like spinning a top. Eventually that thing will fall apart. So you don't get the accuracy at the longer range. And so we basically say, anything from coyotes to deer, hogs to deer, somewhere in that, and a 350 yard range is the 55 grain. So that's going to encompass most of what people want to use. The 62 grain is what we consider to be our longer range bullets. It is a boat-tailed version. It's the only boat-tailed version that we offer currently at this time in the 223 size bullets, actually 224 size bullets. So it's a long range bullet. Hogs and deer works great on 0 to 600 yards. You can probably extend that a little farther if you have longer barrels to 0 to 800 yards. 1 in 7, 8, and 9 twist as well. The next bullet is our 79 grain bullet, probably our most famous 223 bullet because the ability to kill bigger animals. We've shot nilgai with these down in Texas, which are extremely tough animals, but they go down pretty darn quick with a 79. Shoot a lot of whitetails and a lot of hogs. 200 to 500 pound animals are no match for this bullet. 0 to 600 yard bullet, but it is a flat base bullet. Now, one thing that we want to express is that every bullet has a threshold to which it does not expand. So when that bullet doesn't open up, you don't get the same terminal effect as you would if it was going faster and came apart, like our bullet is supposed to do once it gets into the vital organs. So we have a 1400 to 1500 foot per second threshold. If you have ballistic calculators, or you can figure out what your velocity is at long range, then you can kind of figure out where that bullet is limited. That's kind of why they gave the chart. But all of these will also fit into an AR mag. We get a lot of these questions, so we wanted to be able to answer it so that when you're on the website, you look it up, you can understand that what this bullet is intended for, how it works, and kind of go from there. But all 4 bullets are very, very good at killing animals. As far as home defense, self-defense, there's a lot of questions that we get about, will it go through sheetrock? Will it go through walls? Yes, it will go through sheetrocks. It is something that is going very fast, very small diameter, and it's not designed to open on anything but something harder than itself or something soft like tissue. So if it hits water, it's going to try to explode. If it hits sheetrock, it's going to go right through. Sheetrock isn't very hard. So honestly, if you had a bullet that would not go through sheetrock, it's probably not going to go inside of a person on a self-defense situation and do its job. What this does not do is none of these bullets will go through animals and then cause damage to another animal behind it. If you shot a person, it wouldn't go through the person and then hit somebody behind them. And that's what its original intended use was for. So having said all that, you've got varmint, deer, hogs and deer, and then you've got the 79, which is the 0 to 500 pounds, animals that are a little bit bigger, but it also works well on the smaller animals as well. It's probably the best all-around bullet that we make. We do dress it up a little bit with some plating and things like that help a little bit ballistically as well and function in your AR platform rifles. So that's the 224 diameter bullet, and hopefully that answers some of your questions. Thanks.